you can't let a young guy see a veteran treat a teammate that way.
Can you say the word veteran again, please?
You can't let a young guy see a veteran.
Okay.
What word am I saying?
What word are we saying? VETERN?
Veteran?
There it is.
Nice.
Veteran. Veteran.
Veteran.
Veteran works, right?
Veterinarian.
So, there was a record set over the weekend that is tangentially, right? There's a record set over the weekend that
Is
is
it by a veteran?
veteran.
Hello, Mother. This is Half Mental, the show that's 90% baseball and the other half mental. I'm Holt.
And I'm Dan. Thanks for joining us. We're going to go over the last month of baseball, the month of June.
Yep.
Get you guys caught up.
Yeah.
Your beers are so full. I love it.
Well, it's the beginning of the show.
I love it.
So, like we always do,
Yeah, I'm going to let you kick this one off. So,
we have decided to start with the Cubs for a third show in a row.
again, I can't stress enough that this was not the reason we started doing a baseball show.
Yeah, this wasn't planned. It just...
They just keep earning it.
If they could just play
every time.
baseball and win games and
Yeah.
stay quiet, then we wouldn't talk about them.
Yeah, if they would win a lot, I
Right.
probably wouldn't want to, we wouldn't talk about them.
Yeah.
So,
You go ahead.
the Cubs made news 2 weeks ago, maybe a little more even.
Yeah. Like early to mid-June.
Yeah, for as they did the month before, a blatant misunderstanding of rules related to player safety
Yeah.
for Major League Baseball.
It's true.
And I'm honestly, I just can't believe that it's nearly identical to what happened at the second base line
Yeah.
that we talked about in episode 2.
Except it's almost...
It's more egregious, I
Yeah,
think.
it's almost worse
And
because
it's more
there's been so
dangerous.
much concentration on protecting catchers lately.
Yes.
And with what happened with Buster Posey, and now this. So yeah, I'm sorry. Go over the play.
So what happened is it was a throw from the outfield, right? Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
They were playing the Padres. Pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it was the Padres.
Yeah, that's okay.
Anthony Rizzo rounds third and is running home and is beat badly by the throw.
Right. He's out by several feet.
Yes. Yeah, multiple steps. And he, contrary to what he will tell you, diverges from his path towards home plate and just plows through the catcher.
Yeah.
And was still out. And in fact, I think he could have been safe if he had slid to the foul territory side of home plate.
Right.
It was
Like a good slide, and he would have.
yeah,
been safe.
like a weird good slide, and maybe the catcher doesn't get it there, and whatever.
Yeah.
There was some universe in which he is safe on that play. Making contact with the catcher isn't the way to do it.
No.
And again, neither he nor Joe Madden, the manager for the Cubs, understands the rules about catcher making contact with the catcher at home. It used to be this point of pride for catchers that they could absorb that hit, that they would guard
Right.
the plate. And then catchers kept having career-ending injuries or suffering concussions. And as we learned a lot more about the negative impacts of that, catchers started avoiding it a little bit more. And finally, a few years ago, Major League Baseball legislated it, that it's now the catcher's job to set up outside of the path of the runner. And it's the runner's job not to make contact with the catcher outside of a direct path from third base to home plate.
Right.
And the Padres catcher did what he was supposed to, and
Yeah.
Anthony Rizzo did not.
So most.
And Rizzo had a quote that was like, I've talked to umps about this, and
Yeah.
they told me that if that guy's got the ball in his hand, it's game on. And that's not true.
No.
And I don't believe an umpire ever told him that.
No.
Because umpires in general
Maybe
are pretty
15 years
careful.
ago.
Yeah, like maybe
Yeah.
he learned that in high school.
Yeah. So it seems like catchers are encouraged to step out in front of the plate.
Yeah, typically they set up in front of the plate. They're able to
Yeah.
receive the ball earlier,
Right.
and then do like a back swipe tap.
Exactly. And so on Rizzo's play, he like merges out in front of the plate to
Yeah.
hit the catcher. Like you said, he
Yeah.
goes off of his
Yeah.
path.
And God willing, there's a still of it here because he's a step inside
Yeah.
the plate.
And then for Madden to once again,
I've got the Joe Madden quote.
yeah, for him to once again kind of like act like, oh, don't talk to me about this. This is ridiculous.
Our Twitter account at halfmentalbb advocated for a suspension for Joe Madden.
Actually, something called the Big Smooth.
Because it's almost like, to me, in college they use the term, what do they call it? Lack of institutional control.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Madden is not teaching the rules of the game
Right.
in the clubhouse.
He's like an enabler at this point.
Yeah. So Joe Madden said, here's Cubs manager Joe Madden has encouraged players to remain aggressive if they see the catcher in the lane to the plate, which this catcher was not. I loved it, Madden said. Absolutely loved it. That's part of the game. If the catcher's in the way, you hit him. Very simple. But again, that's just not what happened.
Right.
And there's a way to support your player and support overall player safety and rules for the game.
Yeah.
Boy, in the heat of the moment, Rizzo, my first baseman did what he thought he had to do. The league's going to decide whether he did the right thing or not. He got called out. It didn't work out for us.
Right.
You move on. And nobody, to me, that helps stop the story.
Right.
Because things like this do happen a good bit. But this idea that the manager's going, yeah, that's great. That's how you play baseball. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people are going to get hurt.
Yeah. And the catcher's so defenseless in those situations.
Yeah.
It's not. See Buster Posey. I mean, that was a big. I
Yeah.
feel like that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Well, so that's the assumption, and I would have said the same thing.
Or the catcher's femur.
Yeah.
In that case.
So Major League Baseball did not change the rule until like 2 or 3 years after Posey's injury, which I didn't realize until I was reading up after this last incident. It was like Posey and then a couple years, and then some other catcher got hurt, and it was like, all right, guys.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, a lot of times it's like, oh, big star got hurt, so everyone freaked out. Which is an okay reaction to a big star getting hurt
Right.
anyways.
We've had all the fuss and feathers, but it's time. It's time for Dodger baseball.
The story of June is truly a Dodgers story.
It is.
They've done some amazing things this month.
Yeah. I think really, if we're gonna talk about the Dodgers, there's a few guys we have to talk about.
Uh-huh.
Do you know who these guys are?
Yes.
Cody, Corey, Kiki, Kenley, Clayton. I can't do it.
Cody, Corey, Kiki, Clayton, Kenley.
Cody, Corey, Kiki, Clayton. Fuck. It's a real tongue twister. Cody, Corey, Kiki, Kenley, Clayton, Justin Turner, Yasiel Puig. Best record in the National League.
You did it, man.
I'm going to be trying that again a few times. Okay, so, lights out. Hang on. Let's just get
21-7.
No.
No?
Yes. I thought it was 22. 21-7 in the month of June.
They had a 10-game win streak.
10-game win streak, lost game 11 to the Anaheim Angels. Within that streak, we had like a... I think I have it. I'm going to look at my phone as well. They had a home run streak as well in there. It was like 13 or 14 games.
Yeah, they hit like 25 home runs in a 12-game.
Yeah.
Here's some stats. Justin Turner, .519 on-base percentage in June. Cody Bellinger, 13 home runs in June. Clayton Kershaw, 5-0, 2.23 ERA. Alex Wood, 3-0, 2.10 ERA. Kenley Jansen, 10 for 10 in saves, 0 earned runs.
0 earned runs. Cody Bellinger also became the fastest player ever to 22 home runs, I think.
Yeah.
23 home runs. So he's played a full month less than
Everyone else.
everyone else. I'm thinking Aaron Judge right now just because Aaron Judge leads all of baseball in home runs at 27. Bellinger's at 24.
And Bellinger didn't play till April 24th.
Yeah. So good thing going on there.
Yeah. He was the first Dodger rookie position player to make the All-Star game.
I saw that today.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that
Isn't
up.
that so nice for him?
It's great. Seems like his brother just got drafted by the Padres.
Yeah, and his dad was a Major League Baseball player.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
No, you did know that because his dad had like 12 career home runs or something, and Cody
he
hit that
already
in his
passed
first
him?
like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Dodgers 3 homers extended the franchise record for most home runs so it was the month of June the Dodgers hit 53 home runs.
In 28 games.
Yeah, franchise record for them. And it fell 2 short of the National League record held by the New York Giants, St. Louis Cardinals, and the Atlanta Braves. So 3-way tie for that. And
Yeah.
55, 2 short. Another good one is this. The Dodgers ended June at 21-7, a .750 winning percentage. It's their best June winning percentage since 1894 when the Brooklyn Grooms went 18-5. So the
It's a
Brooklyn
long
Grooms,
time ago.
yeah.
Who somehow turned into the Dodgers.
Yeah. The Dodgers have won 13 of their last 15 and 19 of their last 22. It's important to note that this article, I think, came out Friday. And it is now.
The 31st of June.
Yeah, Monday. So we're a little bit behind there, but we've only lost 1 game since this article came out.
Kenley Jansen at one point had struck out 50 guys, right? With no walks.
Wait, what name did you say?
Kenley Jansen.
Cody, Corey, Clayton, Kenley. Go ahead.
He walked a guy last week, but he had not walked a guy all year.
Yeah.
And he was striking out like more than one guy an inning.
Yep.
And nobody had ever done that before.
He's doing a lot of multiple inning saves.
He always gets 4-out saves.
Yeah.
I mean, 4-out save is almost the norm for him, it seems like.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. That's going to become huge in October if we.
Yeah, because then
there.
he extends to 2 innings in the playoffs.
By the way,
Little
trailing,
shout out.
Yeah, shout out to trailing 30. We discovered you guys. Dan actually found you guys, and this is awesome. We're going to be using it a lot. So, thanks for all your hard work.
Banishedtothepen.com is their website.
Yeah.
Trailing 30 is a feature they run where every Friday they update stats for
Oh,
the previous
cool.
30 games. So they've got other stuff on their website, but the trailing 30 is super useful.
Yes.
Um,
So you sent me a text message today that I was not able to investigate.
there was a record set over the weekend. Charlie Sheen put up for auction 2 interesting pieces of baseball memorabilia. It was the contract, the Yankees side of the contract of the Babe Ruth trade that happened in 1919, I think.
Sounds
Does that sound
right.
right? I
Yeah.
think that's right. Completing the trade from the Boston Red Sox to the New York Yankees for cash to fund a Broadway show, which I always think is really interesting.
Yeah, that is funny.
The Broadway show is No Known to Net for those trivia lovers out there. So it's the actual piece of paper that the owner of the Red Sox and the owner of the Yankees signed.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was one of Babe Ruth's World Series rings. And I don't remember what year it was now. 26 maybe or something like that?
Yeah.
I think it was 26 because 27 would have been a really famous one.
Right. Raiders Row.
But they've got like a combined $2.6 million.
That's crazy.
Um,
The ring looked awesome. Like the image of the ring looked so cool.
I think it was the most. I think it was the most that a championship ring has ever fetched at auction, which is cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Clayton, Cody, Kenley, Clayton, Kirky, Kiki, best team in the National League.
Cody, Corey, Clayton, Kenley, Kiki. Oh shit,
You
Cody,
wanna roll.
Cody, Corey, Kiki, Kenley, Clayton. Cody, Corey, Kiki, Kenley, Clayton, Gushing, Turner, Yasiel Puig, best record in the National League.
Should we do the mailbag?
Let's do the mailbag.
Great. We had some really thoughtful questions from dedicated listeners out there. We appreciate all of your time and effort.
Overwhelming response. We appreciate it, guys.
Did they email them?
Yeah.
What's the email address?
Oh yeah. For inclusion.
Yeah, if you want to hop on board.
For inclusion in the next show's mailbag, email us at halfmentalbaseball@gmail.com.
Sorry.
Our first question comes from Aaron F. of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. My question is, if each of you could build a dream starting lineup from the best players of all time, past, present, dead, alive, who would you choose? Good luck. Really great question, Aaron F. of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Yeah, this is a great question. So great.
This was such a great question. We're going to address this in an off-season episode.
Yeah. So we're thinking, Aaron, just so you know that we're not blowing this off, we're actually thinking we'll do a whole episode on this. Because I think if we got into this, we could go way longer than we want to for this episode. And eventually we'll have stuff that we won't be covering.
Yes.
So this is awesome, and we will get back to it. Did she have something else?
She suggested that we had a Cubs fan on the show or call in or something. But I don't think
Yeah, we'd
that's-
love to address that question. No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, to answer that question, I don't see that becoming an issue.
Yeah, we know plenty of them. And it's not happening.
So, a question from JT of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Right by Aaron F. What a coincidence.
Interesting. Thunder up.
I got a question for your half mental show. So, so Puig just hits a home run and looks at his hit as it goes over the fence. The first baseman for the Mets yelled something at him, and I don't even get why this was looked at as being a bad thing. I don't understand why he did anything bad. So this gets to the heart of what we spent a lot of time on in our first couple episodes. There's this like old idea. I actually feel like it's sort of a new idea, but there's this idea that you can't hurt people's feelings when you play baseball.
Right.
That like when you do something really good, you should act like it's not a big deal.
Right.
And it's like so strange to me. So Puig hits a big home run in the middle of this Dodger win streak, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And he just stares at it because it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's really hard to hit a ball that far.
Yeah. I mean,
He hit it like
do-
halfway up the pavilion and left center field at Dodger Stadium.
and like, it's one thing, like, people go, well, people hit home runs all the time. Well, Yasiel Puig will probably hit 30 home runs this year. Maybe that'd be pretty good. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that'd
I don't
be
know where
great.
he's at. Let's say he's going to hit 30. He's going to take 600 at bats.
Yeah.
So he's going to do that one every 20 times. And this was a really big, like, it went really far.
Yeah, it went really far. It was a close game.
Yeah.
It was a 3-run home run, so it put significant
Yeah.
separation in the scoreboard.
And it was against the Mets,
Yeah.
who are a dumpster fire
Yes.
of an organization.
And I think that had something.
And that had so much to
Yeah.
do with it. And the first baseman said as much after the game. He was like, we're not winning. I don't know. I just wish he could have just not done that.
Yeah.
So he rounds first base. The first baseman yells something at him. Puig stops and like, I actually loved it because so many guys would have just kept running at that point.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I upset that guy. Puig's like, what? What's wrong, man?
Oh, you told me that he said something else.
Yeah, I think he told him to F off, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's like a little jabbering there. He completes his home run trot. And then after the inning, Yoenis Cespedes and Jose Reyes,
They like stop him.
they stop him and like have this like really like boisterous conversation with
Yeah.
him. Presumably about being like playing the game the right way and stuff like that. And it's just baloney.
Yeah, so JT, to answer your question, there's these unwritten rules of the game that are overdone right now, and like you said, it's kind of like what did you say to open this segment? Because it was good.
It's just about like not hurting people's feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because it's what
Like you
So
play
this-
baseball, you play baseball to show that you are better at it than the
Right.
people wearing a different color shirt than you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's basically it.
Yeah.
And Yasiel Puig did something that shows he's way better at it than whatever the guy wearing the Mets jersey, whoever the pitcher was. He's way better at it than that guy.
Yeah.
Or he was for a split second, and he was really excited about it.
Right. And there's this expectation. It's like hit your home run,
Put your head down.
run the bases,
Yeah.
get off the field. And I think there's a new, wave or a new generation of players. It's like, I just hit a 450-foot home run. I'm going to take a second to watch it before I put my head down and start running.
And we would be remiss
Yes.
if we didn't
Thank
address the racial component of this. Players, and the players that addressed Yasiel Puig were Yoenis Cespedes, and who's from Cuba, like Puig is. Jose Reyes is not from Cuba, is he?
He's Dominican,
He's a Dominican, I think,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's fair to say they play baseball with more flair in Latin countries. Is that the right
Yeah.
way to say that? Can we edit that out? Okay.
No, I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's perfect. And I also think, maybe those unwritten rules of baseball don't really exist when you're playing
Yeah.
in Cuba.
So, like-
and that's fine.
Kids here, like kids in America that are playing like sanctioned little league, when they hit a home run, their coach like makes them put their head down and run the bases.
Right.
For whatever reason, that's what it is. And that's not the way it is in like the international baseball community. Because actually, Asia has some amazing
Yeah.
home run
It's
celebrations.
like a bucket list for me
Yeah.
to go see a game over there.
And like these players then come to America because they get paid the most here and are expected all of a sudden to like quit having so much fun when they play baseball.
Right.
And Puig sort of just refuses to do that.
Yeah.
He's changed a little bit, I think. But he's not eliminating that from the way he plays baseball. And it's great.
Yeah. He made a diving catch just yesterday, and like while laying on the ground, he took the ball out of his glove and just kissed the ball.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
that's so I've always loved Puig.
Yeah. What about the timing?
Yeah, so now, thanks to this new technology called StatCast, where they track the velocity of everything that happens on a baseball field, they're tracking the speed of the ball, the launch angle of the ball off people's bats, the hang time of the ball in the air, the speed of the players. We know that his home run trot was the third slowest of the year, but the one that got the most attention. And the other two that were slower are by Anthony Rizzo of the Chicago Cubs and Bryce Harper of the Washington Nationals. And I didn't hear about either of those at the time.
No.
And those are just two white dudes who played baseball in
Right.
Little League. And so, like, they do that, and everyone's like, oh, wow, they just hit a really big home run.
Yeah.
And Puig does it.
That's what you do when you hit
Yeah.
a huge home run.
And like Puig does it, and immediately his country mates are concerned about the way it looks for him, because I do think that's a little bit of why Cespedes stopped him.
Right.
To be like, part of it's like, hey, we're not allowed to do that here, which is really bad. I mean,
Yeah.
that culture exists is bad for baseball.
Right.
That idea exists, I guess. So that's, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I hope that answers the question. Basically, it shouldn't have been a thing. So, like, I think the mailbag question said, why was this a thing? It shouldn't have been anything. But I think what added to it was that the Mets were in the middle of a gigantic meltdown. By the middle
Otherwise known as 2005 on.
Right.
for the Mets. It's been a bad decade or so for the Mets.
And the Dodgers were kind of, like, on the complete other end of the spectrum at the time. Not that
Yeah.
that should have anything to do with it, but
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of it. It was like, you guys are super hot right now.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing to everyone.
Yeah. The short
We
answer
are
is
terrible.
yeah. The short answer is that he hurt their feelings.
Yeah. Thanks for
Um,
writing in.
Thanks for writing in, JP.
This thing, is this also the thing that makes it why pitchers will do amazing things and then just like walk to the dugout with their head down?
Yeah, but it's actually interesting because pitchers, there's a lot of pitchers when they strike someone out will like fist pump and
Yeah, but
and
then it's immediately like
Yeah.
it's almost like they catch themselves,
Right.
and almost that is part of the show as well. Like
Yeah.
they act out and then like they over under the thing. They over underdo it.
Yeah.
Like because that's not how in baseball. But man,
Yeah.
like, and I'm not a sports guy, but I just know that like what made Michael Jordan fun to watch was the trash talking and the showboating, and what makes football fun to watch is the trash talking and the showboating. You were talking a couple shows ago about how like you think the old guard is the reason why maybe young people aren't into baseball. I think you might have just tapped into one of the reasons why young people aren't into baseball, and it's that like when you hit a fucking home run, you have to put your head down.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah. The pitching thing's interesting but like you said, it might just be sort of like an element of like nurture. But like pitchers are typically such weird, like very what am I looking for here? Superstitious and like, do you know what I mean? Like a pitcher gets like locked in for a game. I know like you could argue that everyone, but there's just so much pressure on them that like usually like they
like
sit
when they're
at
pitching well, nobody talks to them.
no one talks to
Yeah.
them. They sit at the end of the dugout. But I see what you're saying. Like this is something that like it's probably become more dramatic because it's always been that way. That probably doesn't answer your question either, but like, I see what you're saying.
I mean, I feel like I could talk about just this idea for longer than you guys want to do the show. Like, to me, it's almost indicative of this idea that like what makes great players in other sports, partially what makes them so great, is their belief in themselves. So it's interesting that what makes great players in baseball so great sometimes is their belief that everything outside of themselves is what is contributing to their success.
Yeah.
Like the socks they don't wash and the pee they don't take.
Right.
It's fucking crazy, and it's a bummer for a spectator. Like even if this guy's locked in in the middle of a no hitter, at the end of the eighth, when there's a swing and a miss at that third strike at that third out, if he celebrates, I'm celebrating with him. Even if immediately that celebration turns to focus for the next 3 outs.
Right.
Until he goes back out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But you're right. They are different things. You're right. The superstition is way different than the whatever the fucking
the
comics
like
code.
weird.
Yeah.
Our next mailbag question comes from Edward D of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thanks, Tulsa, for all your support.
Yeah.
Really
Are we
appreciate
going
it.
state by state?
Yeah, we're going to start with the O's and roll into the rest of them next
Good.
episode.
Good.
First time, long time. Question for Dan and Holt about your favorite teams. Who is the player that over the course of being a Dodger fan and a Cardinal fan, you have liked the least / really had to struggle to root for? I don't necessarily mean the worst player you've ever had on your team, though that could be the case. I mean a player that you just flat out disliked. He offers up AJ Pierzynski, one of the most hateable people ever in baseball, as a White Sox fan. That was really easy to hate, even though he helped win the 2005 World Series for him.
Yeah.
I've answered this question among friends before. The player I always think about is Tino Martinez, who was a Cardinal for 2 years.
Oh, I've forgotten that too.
He was like a big free agent signing that the Cardinals had. He was in like 2000. Yeah, I think he was like their Mark McGwire replacement. No. I don't have the years set in my brain.
Okay.
But it was like, it was kind of this big moment. The Cardinals signed a Yankee at a time when the Yankees just signed everybody. And he had received he was a good player and had received some like MVP votes in previous years. And there's always this sort of like attitude of the American League being better than the National League anyways, even though that's not necessarily the case. But it was like, oh my God, think about what this guy can do in the National League.
If he's as good in the American League. Yeah, that's crazy.
And like, I mean, it was like it was a big deal for the Cardinals to sign this Yankee. And he was just so mediocre. it was. I mean, he was only there for 2 years. I don't know what his contract was like, but like, I don't know that he ever did anything like good.
Right.
I don't know that he ever had like a moment, you know, because even players in bad seasons will be like, yeah, but he hit that ninth inning home run.
Yeah.
And I was like 16 when he was with the Cardinal. I don't remember anything good happening
Right.
from Tino Martinez's tenure. So I think that's probably my answer. The other alternate answer is more tinged in the last couple of years, and it's Mike Matheny.
Nice.
And we'll actually get into that a little in a minute.
Okay. I feel like my answer is not nearly as good as yours, but I'm going with Jeff Kent, who was a previously
Jeff Kent is a good person not to like.
Yeah, previously a Giant, and we traded for him. This was also early 2000s, but probably more like
It was later.
probably like 05.
Yeah.
And we had a
Because
decent.
Kent was there when. I'm sorry. Kent was a Giant when Barry Bonds was doing his Barry Bonds
Yeah.
thing. Because he was like the protection behind Barry Bonds.
Exactly. I heard someone say he looks like a cop, which was pretty funny. But he just was an
He
asshole.
always had the mustache.
Yeah, always
right?
had the
His
mustache.
whole career, I think.
He wore the big shades that are synonymous with baseball and
Like the
baseball
wraparounds
only.
or
Yeah, like the
whatever.
disgusting. Like
Yeah.
he just looked like a prick. And he would like get in arguments with teammates. I don't think anyone liked him. He actually
Yeah,
had a
no-
decent year with us. Like we sent him to the
Yeah.
All-Star game and stuff, and
I mean,
we
nobody
went to the
ever
playoffs.
liked Jeff Kent.
No one liked him. But like I don't have any like specific reasons for disliking him, other than the fact that I disliked him before we picked him up.
Yeah. Next question.
Next mailbag. Great question, Edward.
Thanks, Edward D.
D.
First time, long time. Hopefully not the last time. Our next and final mailbag question comes from Matt S. of St. Louis, Missouri. Far away watcher. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you tuning in from so far away.
Are you guys in Oklahoma?
There are many stories.
No. Sorry.
There are many stories on blogs about this topic already, but since you both seem somewhat intelligent about things baseball, thanks so much for that, Matt.
Have you watched?
And since Dan is a Cardinal fan, I will ask you the following. Does the resurgence of Matt Adams in Atlanta and the failure by multiple Cardinals' future stars, Wong, Piscotty, Grichuk, point to something rotten in the Cardinals' coaching? Really great question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
So the backstory to this is that Matt Adams entered the season as the Cardinals' sort of first bat off the bench. He was no longer a starter, but was a backup first baseman and certainly had potential to be a really useful pinch hitter and all that. He had been a successful baseball player before, had some rough stretches. The Cardinals tried to make him play left field this year, which resulted in some horrible defensive plays.
I'm sure.
And then eventually traded him to the Atlanta Braves after Freddie Freeman, their first baseman, got hurt. And they traded him essentially for a bag of peanuts. I don't even remember. It was like, I mean, some minor leaguer who will likely never make the major leagues.
Right.
I mean, it's the sort of thing that they're almost doing as a favor to him to like get him in a new spot. He has since been one of the best hitters in the National League in the month of June. And I think the trade happened right at the end of May. So like June is a really neat, like a clean segment to look at. And he hit like 10 home runs in June.
Second most.
Yeah,
in the
next to
National
Cody
League.
Bellinger.
Yeah.
Cody, Kiki, Kenley, Clayton.
Good.
And he had some interesting comments. He said something like, yeah, it's really nice to have fun playing baseball again. Which is a really bad thing to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, bad for
the Cardinals.
organization,
like,
yeah.
Outside of the baseball world, if you get a new job and it's like, yeah, it's really nice to go somewhere where they treat their employees with respect. That's like a dig at your former employer.
Right.
And he was taking the chance to dig at the Cardinals organization in that time. The Braves manager, whose name escapes me right now.
Fred D. Garcia?
I think that's right.
Garcia?
Said that like multiple Cardinals players texted him after they acquired Matt Adams and was like, this guy can play baseball. Just let him play baseball. It's okay. Like speaking up for him.
Right.
Again, which is a dig at what was going on in St. Louis. Like they didn't feel that Mike Matheny was letting Matt Adams be successful.
Yeah.
And the emailer correctly pointed out that there is evidence in the last few years, essentially, of the St. Louis coaching staff not being able to make players successful to the point that their talents should allow them. We actually just sent our shortstop back down to the minor leagues because he's in a slump. And it's like, well, why can't our major league staff help him?
Yeah, that's a good point.
We employ a hitting coach and multiple video guys. There are people there who should be able to help players through these things. And you just don't see it. Like, the Cardinals coaching staff is unable to put players in their best chance to succeed. It's essentially a sink or swim organization at this point.
Yeah.
Like Matt Carpenter is really good at hitting the ball. So they put him in the lineup every day and he usually hits the ball really well, And there's this weird, like Mike Matheny's, he's favored veterans over young guys time and time again. They reference Colton Wong in there, who's a really talented, he's 25 years old still or something. But will go through cold spells and then just get benched for Mark Ellis when Mark Ellis can't play baseball anymore. There's a history of players getting benched for veteran presences that aren't good at baseball anymore. But it's but this young guy needs time to figure it out. There's been this narrative lately of Cardinals and by lately I mean the last few years of Cardinals yeah, they're really good, they just need to get their head figured out. Or they need to take a step back and collect themselves. And it's just let these guys play baseball. They're baseball players, baseball is not, it's a very difficult thing. But it's not an overly thoughtful bunch, I think, when you get into a baseball clubhouse.
Right.
It's swing hard, throw the ball hard, play defense. In general, the guys know what to do, and they are the players that they are. And Mike Matheny just has such a history of screwing players up. And John Mozeliak, the GM of the Cardinals, traded Alan Craig to the Red Sox because he was playing him even though it was clear that Alan Craig couldn't play baseball anymore. And Alan Craig is no longer playing baseball
right. Weird.
So to answer your question, yes, there is something wrong with the Cardinals coaching staff.
I'm surprised they didn't figure it out when they got all that information from the Astros.
All right.
That is crazy, though.
Okay, power rankings. Power rankings. Number 5. I'm going to start with a team whose record I don't think has earned the spot, but I just think they could end up in the World Series still.
I know who it is.
Is it because I talk about them more than... It's the Cleveland Indians.
I knew it.
Corey Kluber's been really good lately.
He had a huge month.
And I just think they're going to end up. I guess I think they're going to end up playing the Houston Astros in the AL Championship, and I don't know for sure who would win that series.
Yeah.
And they've got pitchers to line up in the postseason, I think. So I still think they deserve to be in the top 5. So there they are. You're welcome, Cleveland Indians. Number 4 is going to be the Arizona Diamondbacks. Only the second NL West team to appear in my rankings this year. Because I did not believe in any NL West teams except the Dodgers for the longest time. But the Diamondbacks have been around all year at this point, and are just too hard to deny. They essentially kept pace with the Dodgers across a historically good month that the Dodgers had.
Right.
So
There's probably some history in the month that Arizona had.
Yeah, that's just been
It's just been
overshadowed by
overshadowed
the
by-
greatness of the
yeah.
Dodgers. Sure. Number 3 is the Washington Nationals. Yeah. I think they were my first number 1. I still believe in the Nationals. I think they're really good. And again, I think they're most likely to play the Dodgers for the chance to get to the World Series. Trey Turner has gotten hurt, but he stole 21 bases in the last month.
Yeah,
and they were not all against Miguel Montero. 4 of them were, but
that's crazy. That's hilarious.
I mean, I don't know the last time we had somebody steal 21 bases in a month. That's a lot of bases.
Yeah.
And Bryce Harper is still great. He hit 2 home runs against the Cardinals last night. My number 2 is going to be the Houston Astros still. They've continued. They're great. You just smiled because you know I'm going to put the Dodgers number 1. You're crazy. But the Houston Astros are still just doing amazing things.
I know. I was actually kind of shocked to see that they didn't have the best record in the American League for the month of June.
Yeah. I think I would not be surprised. I mean, George Springer is going to end up with some MVP votes.
Yeah.
And could win it. He's got more of a track record than like an Aaron Judge does. They probably won't give the MVP to a rookie.
I don't think so. Did you see the image of Aaron Judge standing next to Jose Altuve?
Yep.
Pretty good.
Still one of my favorite things is Aaron Judge standing next to little people.
Other people?
So that puts my number 1 as the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, you did it.
Can you name anyone from that team?
Yeah, their catcher is Yasmani Grandal.
Mm-hmm.
Their second baseman is Chase Utley.
Oh, Chase, we forgot about him.
Their center fielder is Jock Peterson, right?
Yeah.
And then they've got Cody, Corey, Clayton, Kenley, Justin Turner, Yasiel Puig, best record in the National League.
Yes. Number 5, I'm going Washington Nationals. They have cooled off significantly. But I still, Scherzer is just so good.
Yeah. So
I watched him pitch a little bit last night.
Well, he looked real good last night.
Oh my God. He was throwing, he has a pitch that just falls off a table.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I don't think it's a straight curveball,
like.
but it's just like with the angle that they have behind, like kind of off-centered of the pitcher that you see 99% of the time when a pitcher's throwing in Major League Baseball on TV.
Yeah.
The pitch is just like this, and right before it gets to the guy's bat, it just drops. It is nasty. I don't know how anyone's going to hit that this year. So, a little nervous about that. Number 4. Oh, but they did lose Trey Turner, right?
Yeah, I know, and I
think
don't know what the severity is. I think it
was pretty bad. I don't know if he's out for the season, but I think he's out for
Yeah.
a chunk of time. I think he fractured his wrist.
That's a shame.
I know. Number 4, I'm going with the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
They had a big
I've just
month.
been ignoring the Red Sox, to be honest.
I know.
I don't trust Chris Sale long term. Like, do you think Chris Sale's going to win big playoff games? I don't know. That sounds dumb.
Chris Sale's having a hard time winning not big regular season games. And
Yeah.
while striking out like 15 people. He's
Yeah.
getting no run support. It's unbelievable.
I just don't. I don't know. I just don't know who they're gonna.
Like they are a good team that are winning a lot of games, and they just do not produce runs when he pitches.
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad for him.
And they've got. I mean, yeah. I probably need to pay more attention to the Red Sox. I mean, Mookie Betts is really
Yeah.
good.
Also, I think Chris Sale might be the last. You know, when we talked about facing major league pitching, I think
Yeah.
he'd be the last person I'd want to face. Like I
Yeah,
think he'd be the scariest.
scared. Yeah, I
Like
agree
when he
with that.
pitches, I feel like it's just like these long tarantula
Yeah, he just sort of
arms,
like
just
flies.
"Ah!"
Yeah.
3, Arizona Diamondbacks. We've covered them. They're good. Greinke's like doing his thing. I thought maybe Greinke was wrapping it up last year,
Yeah.
like for good, but he looks really good again. They also had, I think, the top 2 batting averages, like single player batting averages in the month of June. Goldschmidt and Peralta.
Yeah.
So, tough lineup.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the Houston Astros. I'm still not sold on them, but the way they're playing still is...
What would they need to do to? I mean, you have them number 2, so I mean.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if I were to be forced to pick a World Series matchup, which maybe we should do next episode, I don't know that Houston would be in it.
Man.
I know. I just don't believe in them yet. But I see how good they are.
Yeah, they're really.
But I
good.
just kind of feel like they have like the Rockies' potential to lose like 13 of 15.
I agree to disagree.
Okay. My number 1 is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
How does that feel?
So good to say that.
You should have said that last time.
Yeah, I'm really excited about our team this year. I love Dave Roberts. Dave, I love you. Thought he was pretty interesting in the game versus the Padres, but kind of think there's more to it sometimes when managers do stuff like that. Kind of rally the troops, get them fired up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what's going on. A lot of good energy. We've got guys like Cody, Corey, Clayton, Kenley, Kershaw. Fuck. So yeah, that's it, man.
Great. Great month of baseball in June.
Yeah, June was fun.
Looking forward to July. We got July's the All-Star game.
All-Star game, home run
and
derby,
Home run derby.
trade deadline.
Trade deadline. July's a big month.
Yeah, this is
We'll have a big idea after July what teams are going to look like, because there's a lot of talk of teams like the Astros being ready to make a trade for somebody. Stuff like that can make a big difference.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I kind of forgot about that. Feel free to hop on the mailbag bandwagon.
The mail bandwagon.
The mailbag wagon. At what's our halfmentalbaseball
at gmail.com.
at
Or
gmail.com.
tweet us at halfmentalbb. Halfmentalbb. Recently retweeted by the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
That's
Thanks,
true.
Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Thank you, guys. All right. Till next
Cheers.
time. Cheers.
Charlie Sheen now used to be the owner of 2 interesting baseball pieces of memorabilia.
I wasn't even looking. Just the audio of that was amazing.
You got this.